Yeah,
Okay.
don't worry. This meeting thing just hates everybody this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's some lag, so I apologize with that. Thank you everybody for coming to class. This is our first class, even though we had a recorded class last time because we had the holiday on there. But somebody talked about let's see here. So you know, Mr. Hancock, I will never. Okay, that's all right. You don't need to show your face. It's fine. Um, so somebody asked the question about geography. So if you were able to watch the first lesson, which that's why you'd want to do here. So you can just go do the pre-test, do the first lesson. Oh, I don't have the recording on here. Ah, I need to share that with you. I apologize. You can also find it in here in the unit 1 under lesson 1 recording. But we talked about in there. We talked about the 5 themes of geography, and one of those is like basically cultural things, right? Government, right? What type of government you have, what type of uh, culture there is in certain areas, and that will all be part of geography. So somebody said, why is politics part of geography? And we do have political systems at the bottom here. So if we look at it, you got a pre-test that you should have taken last week. If you haven't, that's okay. Go in and take it. You just get points for taking it. Unit 1, Introduction to Geography. So the lesson, you want to watch the lesson recording or the Nearpod. And then there's a lesson 1 quiz. So today, since we're in the next week, Unit 2, you can follow along with the Nearpod if you're not able to make it, or you can watch the recording here. And we're going to do our lesson 2 assignment, which I will show you how to do at the end of class as we're going to kind of be going through. But what I do in class is I have you just follow along with the Nearpod if you can. If you can't, that's okay. I know some of you guys are on phones, but if you're able to, I'm going to put that link in the chat and you can just throw this up on another screen. This is good. Like if there is some lagging, like on a video we watch, you can just like mute your end of things on mine and you can just watch the video on your own. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. But if you can, you might have to sit through some of our lagging videos that we watch a little bit. Okay. All right. So I gave you that there. Let's just start going on with the lesson, and then you guys can ask questions and stuff as we go along. So just so you know, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes.
Hello? Can y'all? Oh, yeah, I finally got my mic to work.
Wonderful. Glad you got that. Okay. All right. So as we're talking about just the virtual class, how we're going to do live class, just make sure you're following along with the Nearpod lesson. I did put the Nearpod link in the chat. I'm going to put that again one more time. Another thing, make sure you're just using the chat tool respectfully and appropriately. Somebody brought up the whole politics or whatever. So one time I was doing a lesson on that and people got bashing everybody else's things. Okay. I won't be political at all. We're just going to talk about political systems and different systems and how they work. Okay. The next one is number 3. Make sure you're responding to questions and instructions the first time. That just makes sure that we can just follow along with the lesson, make sure things are rolling and going that way. So, okay. All right. Okay. So what our objective is today is, so given a list of like natural disasters, what you're going to do is in the OLS, so right here, I'm just going to preview this assignment because this is your assignment for this week. You are going to choose a natural disaster to research, and you're going to research it. And one of the themes of geography that we talked about in the last lesson is human-environment interaction. So what I'm really more particular with is, how does natural disasters affect the humans, and how do humans affect natural disasters, right? Now, of course, you can imagine like the natural disaster is going to affect humans more than that, right? So what you're going to do, you're just going to pick the natural disaster you're going to research. You're just going to find out where it happened somewhere in the world, and you're going to research and write 75 words of how that natural disaster affected the country. How did it affect that? So somebody asked, is a nuke a natural disaster? What would you guys think? And you can put that in the chat. I'll play with that. Okay, man-made. Okay, so natural disaster is something that is the environment, right? Or Mother Earth or nature kind of makes, right? Okay, so let's talk about different natural disasters because that leads into exactly what we want to talk about. All right, so on the Nearpod, somebody asked with a nuke, but what are natural disasters? I like that one. Is acid rain natural or man-made? Because it does have a little bit to do. It's a good thing. Asteroid strike. What do you think about that one? Good things on there. Post it on here. Natural disasters that are natural. Yeah. So acid rain. Oh man, that's a hard one. You almost stumped me. You might have to put that like in Chat GPT or something like that and figure it out. Or Google it. Because there is the environment that causes it to rain. So I mean, but we're putting that into the earth. But I guess you could have acid rain a little bit if you had a volcanic explosion, right? And it send a lot of carbon monoxide and stuff up into the air, and then it could cause it. So it could be natural disaster. Okay, let's see what some of you guys say. Natural, me at the end of the world. Yeah, let's. Disasters that are not man-made. Okay, earthquakes. Good, that's a good example. We'll talk about some earthquakes a little bit. So somebody said acid rain can be formed by natural causes such as volcanic eruptions, more commonly acid rain by human-made. So yeah, it can be a little bit of each. Thanks, Emma, for looking that up. Disasters that happen naturally. Critical impacts to the geo and biosphere. Good. An event that happens without human intentionally causing it. Acid rain, volcanoes, tsunamis, flooding, fires. There's a lot of wildfires that start, right? Not necessarily by humans, right? Okay. All right. So that gives us some ideas of what natural disasters are. Okay. What we need to know, though, is the Earth is always changing. The natural disasters may cause damage to the shape of the Earth and where people live, right? And it's really devastating to some people when you live into certain areas, right? Great change happened deep inside the Earth. So we got volcanic eruptions. We have all kinds of stuff that happens, and it changes the way the Earth is. It can change weather patterns. It can change all kind of stuff. Some examples of natural disasters, right? We already talked about some of them. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, cyclones or hurricanes, avalanche, right? We've had some avalanches here recently. It's just been so cold and all the snow that came outside. Flood, drought, forest fires, bushfires. Okay, let's watch a little video that describes some of these things. And we got actually a question in the middle of it. So let's watch these.
Natural disasters are part of the way the planet works. In the ideal world, we would all live in places that aren't affected by natural hazards. We wouldn't live near coastlines. We wouldn't live along the San Andreas Fault in California. We wouldn't live underneath the volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. But we live where our homes are. I mean, those are the places that are important to us. And then there are many people that don't have choices. The museum is presenting this exhibit to describe these events to people so they have a better understanding of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and tornadoes. But
Okay, I got a question to ask you, those that are on the near pod. Which of the 4 natural disasters just mentioned is the most relevant while living in Utah? And if you're not on the near pod, you can put it in the chat too. Oh, you just see the video? Earth shaking, earthquakes, okay? Some of you may be able to have this on there, some might, right? So Utah, it all depends on where you live, right? In Utah, it'd be earthquakes. If you're in the Caribbean, it would be hurricane, right? All those things. Yep. Midwest would be tornadoes. Okay, let's move on.
But more than that, to begin thinking about the risks associated with it. As climate warms, we expect there to be more severe storms, more severe droughts, more wildfires, and to some extent, over the last decade, we've seen just that. There's no way we're going to avoid the natural hazards on a dynamic Earth. But there are certainly ways that we can learn to live with it, to mitigate the risks to society.
All right. So as you can see, there's many different ways that natural disasters affect us. There's different things on there. So here's just some, I'm going to just flip through really quickly because you've heard of all of these things. But what I want you to think of right now is which natural disaster, it doesn't have to be one I listed, but it could be one I listed that you want to research and turn in for your assignment, okay? So volcanoes, I think we all know what volcanoes are. Earthquakes, violent shaking apart of the earth. Okay. Cyclones, hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons. Okay, if you want to research those. Oh, let me stop real quick. It looks like we have a question. Do you want to, are you going to jump on the mic and ask it, or you want to answer in the chat? You can do acid rain if you'd like. Okay, jump on the chat if you, or not the chat, but the mic if you like. Oh, was it not? Try it now. I don't know why to get on the mic.
Oh, there it goes. How I picture earthquakes is the earth is angry. That was just a random thought that I just had, like, while watching earthquakes. I'm like,
Right.
but
I hear you. Have you ever been involved in an earthquake? Has anybody felt an earthquake before?
yes, and it's terrifying. Excuse me. Sorry if I just coughed in y'all's ears, but yes, I've had an earthquake, and just so you know, it sounds like a train derailing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really understand.
Loud. I didn't know earthquakes would be loud. Like normally, like earthquakes and cartoons, they're silent. Like they're lying to us. Cartoons are lying to us.
Yeah. Yep.
So now every time I see an earthquake in a cartoon, I'm like, that's not accurate. It's because it needs to sound like a derailing train.
It does, for sure.
Well, the funny thing is, we have a train track right next to where I live, so it's even more believable.
Now you don't know the difference. Thank you for your comments. All right. So, I mean, there's so many different ones, right? We can look at avalanches. You know, that's something that's affecting us right now. Flooding, right? Flooding could be part of it. Also, here's one that you may not have thought of. It was drought. right? If sometimes you're in extreme drought. In Africa, there were some people that lasted 5 or more years before they even saw rain. Okay. So all of this could be part of a natural disaster. Forest fires, if it's a devastating forest fires in California and other areas lately. So it's just kind of whatever affects. Okay, so as you are trying to contemplate a little bit of what you want to research, okay, this video will just kind of show a whole bunch of different ones. I like this video because it only did like the first 3 months of 2020, or maybe a couple more months after that, but it shows how many natural disasters happen throughout the entire world. It might give you some more ideas or something to kind of research. So here we go.
Okay, I'm just trying to check the intensity or the speed of the wind, and I'm applying full strength to try and open this. It's a bit hard. Oh God.
All right. Well, hopefully that gave you some ideas of what to do. Okay. So once again, what we need to do for our assignment, if this will pop up, my screen went blank. Oh, I guess I got another question for you. Just kidding. All right. So on here, what's the most recent natural disaster you remember hearing about? Yeah, we don't want to talk about 2020. It is 4 years ago, but I haven't seen a new one up because there's so many natural disasters in the beginning of that year. Canada's fires, okay. That'd be wild. Utah drought, yeah, I guess a little drought. Earthquake in Japan. Tornadoes in Florida the other day. Yeah, I think you can't turn on the news without finding something that's happening that's going on, right? So there are plenty of research topics that you can do, okay? So for your assignment, once again, what you're going to do, you're going to go into the course. Peter likes to be slow, apparently. It's thinking. Okay, you're going to go into the course. You'll go to content, and then you'll go to unit 2, and you'll do the lesson 2 assignment. Once you open it up, it's going to ask you to research a natural disaster. You're going to find out where it happened last, and then you're going to write how it had affected the environment and the people and the country that it was in, okay? And so it shouldn't take you guys too long to finish that, but that is the assignment this week. I apologize for how slow this is. So it's going to look just like this. So pretty easy. Make sure you do get at least 75 words. And that's it. If you do have any questions and you don't want to, say it on here, you can always email me. Email is preferable, or you could call or text on a Google Voice. So that's all I got for you today. So I'm going to stop the recording here, but then I'm going to